People, a lot has been swirling around this man, Simon Ekpa. And today, we've got fresh, hard facts. Ekpa, a Nigerian Finnish citizen involved in the separatist agitation of the southeast of Nigeria, has been handed a 6-year prison sentence by a court in Finland. You heard me right, 6 years. And this decision raises so many questions about cross-border activism, extradition, accountability, and yes, a secret Finland deal, as the headline says. Let's unpack this step by step. First, who is Simon Ekpa? He's originally from Ebonyi State, Nigeria, born in 1985. He moved to Finland, became a Finnish citizen. In Finland, he even served in the Finnish military and had some local political involvement in the city of Lahti. But in parallel, he's been very active in Nigeria's southeast via social media, via secessionist rhetoric, via organizing what are called sit-at-home orders, where businesses shut down, and agitation for independence of a Biafra-type state. Here's where the deal with Finland comes into picture. It was widely reported that Finnish authorities, cooperating with Nigerian authorities, arrested Ekpa and charged him with terrorism-related offenses, tax fraud, incitement to violence. The question many Nigerians are asking: what exactly was the nature of his activities in Finland? Why did Finland act? What deal or cooperation was there with Nigeria? Because Ekpa was operating from Finland, but alleged to impact Nigeria. According to reports, the Finnish court found that Ekpa participated in or supported a terrorist organization, incited serious crimes, and arranged supply of weapons and explosives through his network. So, that is the crux of the secret deal, in the sense that Finland did not just look the other way. They actually investigated him and processed him, and Nigeria welcomed that outcome. Now, let me break down the timeline. Around November 2024, Finnish police arrested Ekpa and 4 others for alleged terrorism financing and incitement of violence in Nigeria. Then, the Finnish court proceeded with charges covering August 2021 to November 2024. On September 1st, 2025, the sentence was given: 6 years in prison for terrorism-related crimes, tax fraud, violation of lawyer ethics. The Nigerian government publicly hailed the conviction, calling it a victory in the fight against terror. Why this matters for you and me? First, it shows that borders and citizenship don't necessarily shield you from accountability. Ekpa was in Finland, but Nigerians' state interests were involved. Second, it signals that the Nigerian government is taking extraterritorial activism seriously. If someone uses foreign soil to destabilize Nigeria, it expects cooperation. Third, those in the southeast region whose lives are disrupted by sit-at-home orders, by threats or violence from separatist movements. This case touches their reality. The court found that these lockdowns and orders had severe economic cost. Fourth, there's the question for Nigeria's legal and security system. Why did a foreign country have to arrest someone allegedly causing violence in Nigeria? Some civil rights groups say Nigeria should be able to handle its own issues without outsourcing justice. Let's talk about the secret deal angle. What exactly might people mean when they say secret Finland deal? It's not as if there's a shady handshake being exposed, at least not in publicly reported files. But the truth is, there was a cooperation between Finland and Nigeria, which may have included sharing intelligence, arrest warrants, freezing of assets, extradition talks. For example, Nigeria faces legal hurdles for extradition of Ekpa from Finland because of citizenship, dual nationality, and Finnish legal protections. So the deal, Finland says, will deal with him under our law because he did things here and from here that affect Nigeria. Nigeria says, thank you, this is justice done. Some will ask, what did Nigeria provide? What did Finland demand in return? Those are questions that may not be fully answered publicly. Hence the twist and intrigue. Now, for you at home, what should you watch out for? Keep an eye on the appeal process. Ekpa's sentence might be under appeal, so stay tuned. Monitor how this affects Southeast Nigeria. Will the sit-at-home orders decline? Will local security and economy stabilize? Watch Nigeria's policy on separatist movements. Will there be more prosecutions, more cross-border cooperation? Also consider the role of social media in incitement and mobilizing violence. The court pointed to Ekpa's use of his large online following. That has implications for all of us. How we use social media, how we consume content. Finally, the broader question of marginalization, development, identity in the Southeast. Ekpa grew out of the grievances of his region. So even though the legal case is taking place, the underlying issues remain. Addressing them is critical. Before we round off, let's link this to something related. The issue of self-referendum and government in exile. Ekpa had declared himself leader of the Biafra Republic government in exile, BRGEE, and had attempted to organize a referendum for the independence of the region. That adventure raised alarm bells, and his Finnish proceedings show that the separation agitation is not just local, but international. So this story is part of a much bigger picture of Nigeria's unity, regional expression, and global activism. So, after the Finnish court sentenced Simon Ekpa to 6 years imprisonment, what happened next? Well, according to follow-up reports, his legal team immediately filed an appeal, claiming that the charges were politically motivated and that Finland was pressured by Nigeria to act. His lawyers argue that he's an activist, not a terrorist, and that he's simply exercising freedom of speech from abroad. But here's where it gets interesting. Finnish authorities said they acted independently, based on our own investigation that linked Ekpa's online activities to violent consequences in Nigeria, like arson, killings, and destruction that happened during sit-at-home days. They said there was digital evidence connecting some attackers in Nigeria with instructions or encouragement that came from Ekpa's broadcasts. That's what made the case stronger in court. And if you think about it, that's a big deal, because it shows how much power social media has. You can be in Finland and still affect what's happening in Enugu or Aba. It's a reminder that technology has no borders. Now, remember, this case didn't just start overnight. Nigerian authorities had been complaining for years that Simon Ekpa's broadcasts were fueling violence in the southeast. At one point, the Nigerian government even sent a formal diplomatic letter to the Finnish government, demanding that action be taken. Many people didn't believe anything would come out of it, because Finland is known for strong human rights and free speech protection. But it seems they eventually found grounds that his speech crossed into incitement of violence, not just political talk. So Richard, when people say secret deal, they may be referring to those behind the scenes diplomatic exchanges between Nigeria and Finland, something that's not always made public. It's possible that both countries agreed to handle the matter quietly to avoid diplomatic noise. Now, what does this mean for Nigerians back home? Especially for those in the southeast who have lived under fear of Monday lockdowns. Many local traders, transporters, and school owners have been celebrating the news. They say, if this conviction can bring peace back, let it be. But there are also some groups that still see him as a freedom fighter, saying he stood up for Biafra when others were silent. This shows how divided opinions are. Some people feel he went too far. Others believe he's a hero who's being punished for speaking truth to power. And that's why, even after the Finnish court's ruling, discussions on social media remain hot. Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube are full of arguments, some calling it justice, others calling it betrayal. Let's be honest, the Southeast crisis didn't start with Ekpa. It goes way back. Issues of marginalization, lack of infrastructure, unemployment, insecurity. Ekpa just came into the picture and used this platform to amplify those frustrations. But the question now is, where does the region go from here? The conviction alone won't solve the deeper problems. For example, people still want better roads, fair political inclusion, and an end to heavy-handed military operations. The government needs to focus on rebuilding trust and development. Because if that doesn't happen, even if Ekpa fades away, someone else might rise with the same message. Now, on Finland's side, this case has made headlines across Europe because it's one of the few times Finland has convicted a citizen for actions affecting another country. It's setting a new international legal precedent that someone can be held responsible for inciting violence abroad using social media. That's why other countries are now watching closely. Nigeria's foreign ministry said this case is a win for justice, and they hope it discourages people from using other nations as safe havens to destabilize Nigeria. They also thanked Finland for cooperating. That's what some people are calling the secret Finland deal, an understanding between both governments that justice would be pursued no matter where the suspect is. Let's talk impact. After Ekpa's sentencing, reports from Anambra and Imo say that compliance with sit-at-home orders dropped slightly. Some traders started reopening on Mondays, testing the waters. However, some criminal gangs still operate under the name of IPOB, or unknown gunmen, so the fear hasn't totally disappeared yet. But you can feel that some people now have hope that things might change. And this is where leadership from local and national government comes in. Because if peace is going to last, people must see real results. Jobs, safety, infrastructure, and justice for victims of violence on both sides. The truth is, punishment alone can't heal a region. Dialogue must continue. Another angle people are discussing is how this could affect Nnamdi Kanu's own case in Nigeria. Some legal experts believe Ekpa's conviction in Finland might influence how Nigeria's courts view cases of incitement and terrorism, especially those connected to IPOB or ESN. Others say both cases are separate, but politically, they might still have an indirect effect. Now, before I wrap this second part, let me remind you again, please like this video if you're finding it informative and subscribe so you don't miss the next update, because this story is far from over. In the next part, I'll be talking about how Simon Ekpa's sentencing could change online activism in Nigeria. what it means for content creators, and how the Nigerian government might start monitoring online speech differently after this.